Brought to you by Plum Supply.
Plum Supply kitchens and baths. Your home never looks so beautiful.
Hawkfanatic.com, brought to you by Patrick Eads and the staff at Deary Brothers Ford. Steve Anderson, Hawkeye Title and Settlement. Mike's E-Keys for Cars. Tavern Blue on the Coralville Strip. GT Car and his great crew at Supple's Building and Remodeling. Supple's Flowers, the home of 1-800-800-ROSE. The Midtown Family Restaurants. Harty and Stocker Jewelers, 101 South Dubuque Street, downtown Iowa City. Diamond Dream Sports Academy. Premier Automotive in North Liberty. The Oxyoke Inn and the Amanas. Streets Maintenance, Building, and also Plumbing. And Jimmy Street will be working on our tower site. Tomorrow we'll be off the broadcast air, but we'll still be streaming as normal, all our normal programming. Afternoon tomorrow, we'll be down for about 3-4 hours. Dr. Lance Forbes, Diamond Dental in Cedar Rapids, and Big Dog Tech Solutions. Here's Tom Suter along with Pat Harty from Hawkfanatic.com. And on the line with us is Coach Don Patterson.
Well, Coach, it's great to have you with us, as always. We said last week we need a big bounce-back victory, and we got it. Hawkeyes took care of business and beat up on Northwestern. Some of your thoughts?
You're exactly right, Tom. It's nothing better than a routine win to cleanse the soul. So we feel a lot better about who we are. I think you'd have to say we played up to our potential in a lot of different ways. Just from a parameter standpoint, we won 13 of the top 15 parameters, and that's pretty domination, really, in so many ways. So it was good to see, good to win the game from all kinds of different angles, and good for the defense to show up and play and represent as they almost always do.
Well, Don, good morning as always, and let's cut to the chase. Who starts at quarterback on Saturday?
Good question. I was hoping you guys would tell me.
My gut feeling is it's going to be Sullivan, because I think they're going to say that. I'm going to think tomorrow. This is just me. Tomorrow, Kirk will come up there and say that Cade is a little roughed up right now. We're going to go with Brendan, and who knows where Cade will be on Saturday, but right now we feel better with Brendan because Cade's rough. I think that's going to be the narrative.
And I agree with that.
I think that will be the narrative, because that's the narrative they created Saturday. And he did get hit on the pick six, but he got hit harder on the roughing the passer.
He got hit harder on the roughing the passer.
Much harder. And I thought he was coming out. I thought he looked hurt.
I did too.
But I think and this could just be me, and I wrote this, I think they're giving him sort of a soft landing. I think they're going to give Sullivan a try. And let's face it, I didn't think Sullivan lit the world on fire. He can run.
But he can run.
He can run. That gives him a dimension. But throwing is still suspect. Now, Don, I'll hand it over to you.
Well, there is some truth to what you say. It's not just that a mobile quarterback can extend plays. Mm-hmm. He actually forces the defense to play more honestly.
Yes.
When he hands the ball off to Caleb going left, then Sullivan's typically heading to the right, of course. And the backside pursuit has to at least acknowledge he may have the ball. And I better stay at home, because if I pursue too hard to the running back, then I may be wrong, and I have to play team defense. So I've got to slow myself down here and honor the possibility that the quarterback has the ball.
Exactly. Yeah, and with Cade, I mean, not that he was ever a dual threat, but right now he is absolutely no threat at all to run.
No.
And they know that. And if you're inaccurate and not running, that's a problem. I just think it's time to just change things up and see what can happen with Sullivan. I mean, even on that throw, the 42-yarder, that should have been a touchdown. The play in the corner of the end zone and the play in the corner of Anderson should have been a touchdown at that level. Don't you think, Don? Better throws?
Well, you always heard me say about deep throws. The only real crime is to overthrow an open receiver that's deep down the field. Now, thankfully, Seth was able to reel it in. But, of course, he had to leave his feet to catch it. And that's still better than than an underthrown ball that's intercepted or something crazy like that.
No, you're right.
But it was a nice play. I was glad to see that was an indication from Tim. We're not going to play to not lose this game. We're going to play to win it.
Yeah, I like the call.
We came out and threw the ball deep downfield. I believe it was as I recall, it's third down and long. But that's okay. I mean, they start to defend down the field, and incidentally, it was a good scheme. They were in what we call quarters coverage on that white field. The slot receiver, I can't remember who it was, but he did it. I think it was.
Was it
I'm
Gill?
pretty sure it was Gill.
Gill, okay.
He did a good job of locking down the safety, the strong safety. Just imagine the corners, of course, playing an outside fourth. The safety's playing an inside fourth. And, of course, if the inside receiver is vertical with his route, then the safety has not much choice but to kind of lock onto it because he's in his immediate zone. He's threatening the space that the strong safety is defending. And if he can yank that strong safety inside a little bit, now he's got the corner isolated on the wide receiver.
Yep.
And, of course, if he's running a good post route, which Seth did, incidentally, Seth was a breath of fresh air.
He was.
Because he looks like he's got a little more spurt than a lot of guys.
He does.
And that was a nice catch.
Yeah. No.
So that was good to see. And it was a big play. It was 42 yards, as I recall.
Yeah, yes, it was.
Incidentally, we had five explosive plays.
Johnny Pascuzzi.
Yeah, three of which were super explosive.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Pascuzzi.
Let's do it.
Yes.
It was like so many other naked plays. I believe he was a frontside receiver. I don't think he came underneath the formation. But the bottom line, he was open in the flat. And when Brendan carried out his fake, he was open. So he thought, okay, I'm going to do what I'm supposed to do. I'm going to toss the ball to him. But just for the sake of argument, I wonder if I can get in front of him and be a lead blocker. And he was able to do that, of course, and it had a little bit to do with that long game too, because Sully was out there tying up a guy so that he couldn't make a tackle.
He did.
Of course, that means a little extra to me since Johnny's dad and I were old high school baseball teammates. We've had Bob on the radio a couple times, actually. And I'll tell you, Johnny showed some speed, and he's playing a lot now, of course, because they've got injuries. But I mean, for a guy who walked on, he's given them a nice little addition. And Don, I've watched him block. Other than there's been a few times this year where he's been overwhelmed by big interior linemen, but he's a pretty good option for them as a walk-on linebacker or tight end at this stage.
Yeah, I think so too.
And I thought that play really provided.
He catch the ball, and he's got an idea what to do with it after the catch.
So, Don, what did you think overall of Sullivan's passing? There were times where I thought he threw the ball a little hard, but maybe that's just me. It reminded me a little bit of.
No,
Petrus.
You're right. I made a note. It was in the second half, but it was a simple little slant route by, I believe it was Luke, as I recall.
I know the player.
And the ball skipped off his fingers. Certainly, I wasn't going to call it a drop because part of Luke's problem was that there was too much pace on the throw. So, like a lot of quarterbacks, Brendan needs to understand touch on a football. Let's face it, if a receiver is breaking inside, or for that matter, running what we call a drive route or an under route, he's running across the formation. He's not very far at all from the quarterback. So the last thing you need to do is try to play burnout with him. You know, take a little pace off the ball, throw it with a little bit of touch. I always used to remind quarterbacks, it's not all about velocity; it's all about location. Put the ball in a good position to be caught, and if it's not a real long throw, then of course at that point it's okay to take a little bit of juice off the ball. Matter of fact, it's preferred. Just put it in a place where he can catch it and tuck it away in short order and not give up the football.
I know I'm going back a ways, but that's what I loved about the two Chucks at Iowa, Chuck Long and Chuck. I mean, neither one of them ever really threw the ball exceptionally hard.
Very catchable balls.
I mean, Hartley had some balls that kind of even fluttered, but they kind of fluttered right into the arms of the receivers. Their balls always seem so easy to catch.
Absolutely. And then the other extreme, this happened one time. It was another naked, and the tight end was out in the open, and it was a short throw. But instead of throwing it, it was almost like Sully was trying to hand it to him.
Yeah.
You can't do that either.
No.
You just got to throw it, but you just got to throw it, like they're tossing a baseball to your
Yeah.
6-year-old son. You don't have to throw it hard, but you do have to throw it. Don't try to shot put it to him. And so he pulled up too much on the throw, and then the ball kind of floated a little bit, and it was high, and it was not nearly an easy catch. It should be an easy catch. It should be firm but not hard. I'll say it that way.
Yeah.
What about the one play that ended up being a direct snap to Caleb, but Brendan was reaching for it, but it went directly to Caleb, and he ended up just running into the line?
I missed that.
I watched it again last night, and it looked like it was just a bad snap. Did you see
it? It was definitely off center.
Yeah.
It was more toward Caleb than it was toward Brendan. Brendan reacted to the ball, but I think he felt that Caleb also had his hands on the ball. And at that point, he simply let go because he could, with confidence, do so because he knew that Caleb had control of the ball anyway.
Yeah.
It all worked out okay.
So, a very impressive win. There was concerns early. They couldn't run the ball early. I mean, Northwestern always seems to have them scouted pretty well. But, Don, eventually, Iowa's just a better team. I mean, they're just a better team. Now, let's look at Wisconsin. I watched a little bit of the Wisconsin Penn State game. I mean, it was kind of a boring game. Wisconsin's got issues at quarterback. You watched him.
They did.
What do you think of him?
Well, we saw Braden Locke last year against Iowa, and he was thrown in to the action last year, and he was not ready at all. I mean, he's certainly better than he was.
He's more ready now. Don, your thought. Okay, what do you? You've seen Braden Locke play a few times. What do you think, and what's your biggest concerns going into this game?
I do have the game TiVo, but I haven't had a chance to see it yet. So I didn't see much at all of the Penn State game. I did watch just a few snaps here and there, flipping channels around. But it's a real concern going into the game. This is going to be a challenging game to win, I think, simply because Wisconsin has an idea of how to win also, and we got identical records, of course, overall and in conference play. They lost to a really good team. We lost to a really good team by similar scores, I guess. I'm referring to our Ohio State game, of course, and their Penn State game. But we do play them here at least, and that's got to be a help.
Big difference.
Our fan base will be behind us. We just need to get off to a good start and let the crowd play their usual disruptive role, which they do a good job of. And we need to be hitting on all cylinders on all three aspects of play, offense, defense, and kicking. Anything short of that might not be good enough.
So Don, do you think being a night game, are you shocked that it was a night game?
I'm
no, I was
bummed.
I was thinking if Wisconsin does pull off the upset, then we'll be back for another 2:30 kick. It is a little bit irritating. Our first night game of the season, they have to wait until November for us to have to show up for a night game.
And then you have two more. Well,
and of course, Nebraska's already set as a night game, right?
UCLA out in LA. Yeah, there's one. They have one. What's it? One more day game left.
Yeah.
Isn't that just...
Maryland, I guess, is a day game. But it's really a little bit. I mean, it's all about television, of course. But
yes.
I hate for the fans to have to suffer through a cold November night. I'm not talking about this Saturday so much as the Nebraska game. Probably going to be uncomfortable weather by then. And even this Saturday, I do understand 30% chance of rain. I hope it's not Saturday night.
Don, it depends who you ask. Weatherbug says 70% chance of rain.
Oh, for Saturday night, I've been hearing the same thing. Captain, what do you got?
I got showers in upper 50s.
Okay, temperature-wise, then it should be fine. I mean, but so rain will make it.
We all know that a cool night is better than a wet, cool night. And I'm afraid it might be a little on the cool side.
Yeah.
Especially if you get a little bit wet as the game plays out.
You better be able to run the ball. That's all I say is you better be able to run the ball in a game like that, right?
Well, Don? I'll take Caleb over there running.
Oh, I would too.
For sure.
And I'd take Iowa's offensive line over their offensive line. I think Iowa's a slightly better team playing at home. That's why I give them the
Yeah,
edge.
we just need to go out and prove it. That's all. And we've been inconsistent. We played below our capabilities against Michigan State, and I'm going to give them some credit for playing their best game of the year.
Mm-hmm.
But Michigan State kind of returned to form a little bit against Michigan.
You knew they would.
Yeah, they made some plays, but they also shot themselves in the foot a few times, and that's what average teams sometimes do. They sometimes beat themselves. We've always prided ourselves, of course, on not beating ourselves, and we need to do it all over again on Saturday against Wisconsin.
Don, I'm going all over, but how do you explain to me Maryland? What did they lose by at Minnesota, Seth?
48-23.
I mean,
well, they seem like a dysfunctional football team.
That exactly.
Yeah, they're just Jekyll and Hyde. I mean, it's still a mystery to me. They lost convincingly to Northwestern, 37-10, I think it was.
Yeah, I watched part. They made Northwestern look explosive and athletic. It was bizarre.
Yeah, you're right, and it wasn't just a fluke win. Northwestern dominated in a lot of aspects of play.
They sure did.
So that's what mediocre teams do. It's a roller coaster. They're up and down, up and down. You don't know what you're going to get.
Yeah.
And that's our challenge, of course, is because we've had a couple of games that disappointed us. We haven't had a 2-game winning streak in conference play.
No, we haven't.
I will say 2 of the 3 losses were to really good teams. If you're going to defend Iowa State and Ohio State are good. Now, I watched that Ohio State-Nebraska game. Ohio State's offense, I mean, did you watch any of it, Don? Did you have a chance? Have you seen any of it?
I did. I did see it, and it sounds crazy to say, but Ohio State's got some issues.
They do. Their offensive line isn't very good right now.
No.
Yeah, Ryan Day even acknowledged that. He said, we got to find a way to run the football. We're putting a lot of pressure on the passing game. You've always heard me say it's difficult to be a one-dimensional offense. Well, that's true if you're all run and no pass, and it's also true if you're all pass and no run.
So then let's go. I'm sorry, go ahead.
That's what they face, is being able to, be a threat to run into them.
I want to go back to the quarterback situation.
Yeah.
I mean, Tom, who do you think starts Saturday? What's your gut feeling?
Well, I agree with what you said earlier. I mean, and the other thing is Cade, after he got the roughing the quarterback play, he did not throw a good pass after that.
No, and I will say he did get hit on the pick six. I'm not saying,
yes.
but not near as hard as. I mean, I thought that was roughing the passer, didn't you? I thought it was and what a costly penalty.
But I do think that Sully will start and that Cade should be ready to go if Sully doesn't.
I could also see it be Sully starts, Cade not ready to go, and then who's back up, Layonnaise or that Jackson Stratton?
Well, that's another story.
I mean, so, but Don, are you expecting Sullivan to start? Is that your gut feeling?
I'll be honest with you. I flash back on vintage Hayden Fry, and I'll tell you what I mean by that. I think it's entirely possible that Kirk is actually justified in saying it's going to be a game day decision because Cade is in protocol, concussion protocol, and we're not going to know until game time.
Makes sense. Why not keep the defense guessing?
Yeah, I mean, it's going to complicate Wisconsin's preparation. If we declare one or the other, then obviously they'll put a little more preparation time into the one that's going to be the starter. But the reality is they have to get ready for a mobile quarterback, and they also have to get ready for a more traditional pocket player.
Immobile.
You beat me to it. No, you're right. No, and Don, I mean, coaches don't necessarily have to reveal their starting quarterbacks. Why don't more coaches not do that? I don't get it. I mean, isn't there something to keeping the opponent kind of guessing in the days leading up to game?
Sure, and I think I don't know exactly what the coaches are told nowadays, but I think in some circles at least it's been emphasized. You need to declare your starter unless you have a legitimate medical reason to not be able to do so. And concussion protocol would follow in that category. It's entirely possible. I think a lot of NFL quarterbacks are not cleared until the end of the week.
No, you're right.
Because you have to. It takes some time to run the test and to be sure that they're fit to play. Based on a previous concussion.
What's weird about this, though, I wasn't listening, but some other guys in the press box were. TV, they were the first ones to say that he was roughed up. Because I asked Iowa people during the game, they're like, we are not saying anything. But then TV said it was his knee. that his knee had gotten banged on the I think they said on the roughing the passer one, which happened the series before the pick six, right? Or was it 2 series before?
2.
Okay. But then he had his helmet off.
I imagine there was a knee associated with it, frankly, because it looked like to me the only issue. I mean, he hit Cade a little bit late, and what he should have been flagged for and was flagged for, he planted him in the ground.
He did.
Yeah.
He drove into the quarterback with force as he went to the ground, and that's supposed to be defined as roughing the passer.
Yeah.
What I assumed on the sideline that it was concussion was because he had his helmet off.
That's right.
And I just assumed we all assumed it was concussion. But then somebody in the press box said, "Well, TV just said it's his knee." So, but then Kirk was not. Kirk just said he got banged up. He wasn't very, and that's his prerogative. He doesn't have to. He can reveal what he wants to reveal.
Yeah, TV did say it was his knee.
It's his knee.
It didn't look like any stress and strain on his knee.
I didn't see it either.
If there was any stress and strain, it was his upper body. It was his head.
That's what I thought. And Captain just said he heard that TV said it was his knee. So it's the whole thing was just kind of weird. I just think tomorrow I'll be surprised if Kirk goes up there and says, yes, Brendan's going to start and Cade will be our number 2. If he does, great. I think but I think there's going to be more to it. Don't you? And you've said
Well, we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see. Kirk doesn't like to reveal his cards.
And that's more. If he doesn't want to say who's starting tomorrow, I'm more power to him. I'm with you, Don. He doesn't have to come in. He doesn't owe us that tomorrow.
No, and I think he's not fudging at all. Maybe when he says it, because it is entirely possible that Cade is a question mark at this point, and that can't be answered for a few more days, probably.
Yeah, and there's a chance maybe he did get hit hard in the head and in the knee on that same play. I mean, that was a rough hit. When he got up, I was thinking, oh, wow, we're going to see Sullivan sooner than I thought.
It was, and then, as I said,
Incidentally, talking about that play, I still held out a thought that it might have been, the bad throw might have been related to the contact on Cade. Doesn't appear so. The ball was out before the contact.
Yeah.
I think it simply slipped out of his hand. And, of course, we know what those kind of balls do. They tend to end up in the bad guy's hands.
And what a great play by the Northwestern defensive back. I mean, that was a nice play to be able to do all that. But yeah, I just think it's time right now to just try Sullivan.
I agree, but
we'll see. You've always heard me say there's a lot to be said for a combination quarterback, a guy that can run and throw.
Yes.
Because he forces you to do a better job of defending the entire field.
Yes.
And it slows down the backside pursuit. It makes it a little easier front side for the running back if you're talking about the typical naked play. Or any kind of zone read is another example. The backside has to slow down because it's entirely possible it really is a read play. And the quarterback is more than prepared to pull the ball if that backside pursuit is a little bit too strong toward the running back. And Cade's proven, of course. Good example was the touchdown and goal line. Those backside players, that backside defensive end, he didn't just run inside. He kind of chopped his steps a little bit, knowing, Sullivan may keep the ball, and even the linebacker held on the backside a little bit too. Mm-hmm. And the bottom line, Sully was just fast enough to beat him to the pylon.
Yeah.
It's not as if they ignored the possibility that Sullivan had the ball. They simply didn't give him quite enough credit for his speed.
That's right.
Now with Cade,
exactly.
Cade in that situation, he either would have had to have found somebody in the end zone or something, or the play would have just been dead. I mean, now the other reason I think Sullivan will start, and the reason I hope he starts, is because, and Tom, you know the vibe out there more than I do. If they trot Cade out there to start that game Saturday, there's going to be a ton of booing.
It's going to be unfortunate. I hope.
And I think Kirk's cognizant of that. I don't think that is why you make a personnel decision. But don't you think that will happen?
I'm afraid of it.
I've had countless people tell me, either in person or on the or social media, that I'm telling you, if he trots him out for that first series under these circumstances, it's going to get ugly right away. And I just don't want to see that.
Yeah, even when Sullivan first went on the field on Saturday, you heard any number of people applauding, cheering from the from the seats because they were glad to see the change.
No, and I was told you yelled "Bring on Oregon" right when you saw him.
Sure I did.
No, I mean I think Cade's been given enough chances, don't you, Tom? He's had 13 starts. I was thinking about this before we were going to go on the air today, Don. Cade has 13 starts. Now, the one game he only played less than half, but 12 and a half games, I would say, maybe 3 or 4 quarters has he played good in those. That's not a lot.
No.
And you got Brendan Sullivan for these types of situations, I think.
It looks like Cade's a 50-year-old man out there, honestly. He can't run. He looks gimpy. His arm strength isn't what it was. I think Cade's beaten up.
No, I just think the 2 surgeries are too much for him.
Yeah.
His body.
Well, looking back to the Michigan State game, you recall a week ago I made this comment. I said if the quarterback doesn't give you much of a threat as a runner, the thing he has to do is be really good at making all the routine plays. And truthfully, and the best example is the most recent loss, I guess I should say. The Michigan State game, there were we were 0 for 5 in the first half. And in general, those receivers were open. We just simply didn't give them a very good ball to catch. Or a ball that they had no chance catching. Is another way to look at it, I guess.
So yeah,
you got to make the routine throws. If you're a quarterback that can make something out of nothing, and we're talking about those mobile quarterbacks that are out there. Now you're given a little more leeway in terms of overthrowing an open receiver, things like that, because you're also capable of extending plays. You're also capable of giving our receivers a chance to take 5 or 6 seconds to get open rather than the usual 3.
I mean, think about Sullivan. He was, as a passer, he was 9 of 14 for 79 yards.
He was okay.
But he ran for 41 yards. He was their second leading rusher in barely 3 quarters. And could you imagine Iowa if they could get 40 to 70 yards rushing a game from their quarterback?
And he kept a number of drives alive that would not have been kept alive.
Countless plays where I remember thinking, okay, if Cade was in, that's dead, where Brendan ran to the sideline and instead of losing 7 or throwing an incompletion, he gained like 3 or 4. That's a big difference, isn't it, Don, in field position?
Yeah, it is. It absolutely is. And the other thing that comes to mind, let's just look specifically at Caleb's numbers. His first 7 carries were for 4 yards. His last 7 carries were for 105.
Interesting, yep.
And Caleb even touched on it. He made a comment. He said, it seems to open things up a little more for me. Now, he didn't, I don't think he meant to try to disparage the way the defense plays when Cade's in there. He simply made the observation. It seemed like I had more running room. And one reason he did maybe was a little less backside pursuit. So, that's another value to having a mobile quarterback. They have to defend more of the width of the field.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's almost like when you have an immobile quarterback like Cade who's struggling. It's almost like you have 10.5 players on offense, and that a team with a mobile quarterback has that other dimension. And they just have
you're playing left-handed.
Yeah, and like I did not think Cade would be this immobile. Did you?
No, I didn't.
I thought there would be a little bit more, but man, I mean, he just is never a threat to run. And teams, it's almost like they play a shell around him. Okay, let him stand there because he's not going to do anything. But okay, so Don, they're going to come in wanting to run the ball, right? Both teams are going to come in wanting to win the line of scrimmage. That's why I feel pretty confident about Iowa. Don't you think? I mean, they're not going to come in and want Brendan to throw the ball 30 times, or maybe even 20.
I wouldn't think so. No. With just a little bit of luck, they'll play us honestly, and that'll give us a good chance to run the ball. We did have some difficulty in the first half. Certainly, our problems were not just in a mobile quarterback.
Oh no,
when Cade was in there, because we were having some leakage issues across the front again. And sometimes it's really difficult. I can give you an example. If the guard is scooping away from the center, and there's a 2-eye, there's a guy lined up on the inside shoulder of the offensive guard, it's hard for a center to snap the ball. Now, maybe if we're playing with our guy that's now playing for the Ravens, do a little better. But our center I don't think he's going to be a first-round pick. I know he's not. He's a good Big Ten center, I think, but he's not as good as the one we had a while back in time.
Tyler Linderbaum.
Starting in the NFL.
Tyler Linderbaum.
Yes.
So, yeah, Tyler maybe would he would do a better job of picking up that defensive tackle that's on an inside shoulder of an offensive guard.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to snap the ball and be able to scoop that guy up to the play side. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So the guard can help a little bit longer. You know, you're talking about two players accounting for two defenders. But the guard, of course, has to leave pretty quickly because it's not easy to collect the linebacker either. So the bottom line, we got to really be smart about angles on these plays. We got to be sure we don't ask our linemen to do something that's hard to do. Maybe that even involves packaging some runs so that rather than run a scoop play to the left, we have to think about running a scoop play in another direction or changing the scheme entirely. That's not my call. That's the O-line coach's call. And, of course, Kirk is a former line coach. They'll have good decision on that stuff. Mm-hmm. But the bottom line, you better give your line every chance to account for those defenders in the front, because otherwise you end up with leakage. And it really showed up a while back in time, of course, in some other games, but it also showed up a little bit even in that first half against Northwestern.
No, you're right. There
were times when Caleb didn't have a good place to run.
Yeah.
It wasn't his fault. And you could argue it's really not entirely the fault of the old line, because the angles are difficult for them to achieve what we're asking them to do. Mm-hmm. So at some point we got to think about, okay, do we actually, against this alignment, do we actually run another play? Do we actually flip the play? Maybe that's another option. It's simply, instead of running scoop left on that play against this alignment, maybe we turn around and scoop it to the other side. Mm-hmm. You can do that. You can package runs, so you just flip the run. That's one option. Or you can simply change the concept entirely. We don't like to do either one. We like to think our run calls are all-purpose. Our running plays are good against any and all fronts. But the truth of it is, some of those specific alignments are more difficult than others. And that doesn't even get into the loaded boxes. I'm just talking about the standard front. So the bottom line, we had some leakage. You could argue better technique would eliminate some of that leakage. That's true. But we got to play the cards we're dealt. These are the linemen we have. If it's not a good matchup, we got to think seriously about maybe changing the play or changing the scheme.
Well, Don, I think I rewatched the game last night, and Reese Dakin was just absolutely freaking incredible. And then, of course, Caden Weegan, what a difference our special teams made in that game.
You're right. I'm trying to think of the last time I saw a team have to start 4 times on the 6 or inside the 6 in a row.
Yeah, 4 in a row.
It was incredible.
He averaged 44.8.
Let me just touch on this. This is a fond memory for me. We were playing in Illinois State when I was at Western Illinois, and we had a similar circumstance. We were starting inside the 5, inside the 10, inside the 5, and this time we're on the 2. And I said, I'm sick of this. Let's go 47 pop-out pass deep post. And we went 98 yards for a touchdown. Kind of a gutsy call, but I was just sick and tired of starting inside the 5. I'm glad Northwestern didn't give that a try, because it would be a really demoralizing play to give up a 98 or 99-yard touchdown, or in our case, a 95 or 94-yard touchdown.
Well, judging from the way their quarterback played Saturday, I don't think they were capable of that. But, yeah, I was going to bring up Dakin and Weegan were huge.
You're right. Not much chance of that happening with that QB.
No. Dakin and Weegan were huge. I mean, his first year is comparable to what Torrey did his first year. He's
very much so.
I'm not saying he's going to be the next one. God, did you watch? First of all, did you watch how the Bears game ended yesterday? I watched it from start to finish. I couldn't believe it. Did you watch it, Don?
Yeah, I did. And here's my frustration. If you're a Bear fan,
which I am,
feel the same way. It was either Lisa or me and my sister-in-law that made the comment. The Bears were really lucky that they. I'm sorry. Who they play? I can't remember who they played now. The Commanders.
The Commanders.
Yeah, the Commanders were really lucky that a guy was in position to catch that ball that got tipped. And I said, well, that's actually by design, And the way we always had our Hail Marys constructed back in the day, which is the way most people do it, they have a designated jumper. He's the guy that's going to go up and try to get the ball. And, of course, the challenge for the quarterback is you need to put the ball up so that it comes down somewhere in the end zone.
Which he did.
Not in the back. Well, actually, he did.
Well, actually,
it came down in about the 2 or 3 yard line.
Okay, you're right. It got deflected to the back.
Yeah, but if you can, and that's the reason we want the ball into the end zone. Is the jumper, if he can high point the ball and possess it, then by all means do that. The challenge there, of course, is they got 2 or 3 defenders that are in there jumping with him.
But Don, shouldn't the defenders shouldn't they have someone behind the offense?
Absolutely.
Don't you have to be the deepest on defense?
But the typical offensive scheme, you have one guy beyond the ball, and typically to the wider part of the field. In other words, if the quarterback is on the left hash, let's say the jumper comes down in the middle of the field. Well, the deep receiver that handles the long tip is a little bit wider and deeper.
Mm-hmm.
You know, deeper in the end zone if the ball is in the end zone. He's waiting for the tip. That's all he's waiting for. And that's what Washington was waiting for, is the tip, and they got it.
They did.
And, of course, there's also a guy that's shorted to the inside in the event that the ball's tipped back toward the quarterback. But any smart defense, of course, will also have a guy behind the jumper, behind the defensive jumpers. And that guy's also waiting for the tip, just as the receiver is. And, of course, he's got a chance to defend the deep receiver that's simply waiting for the tip. There was no deep defender for the Bears, and the guy could have stood flat-footed and caught it. He didn't have to jump for it either.
So is your hunch, Don, that one of those Bear guys who jumped for the ball didn't do his assignment, or one of those guys you think was instructed, hey, we got to make sure we're the deepest?
It's just hard for me to imagine that a defender would screw that up. You know, that's the kind of thing you practice.
Yes.
You know, the offense practices the Hail Mary. Well, so does the defense. And here's another thing the Bears could have done. Let's face it, they gave the quarterback all day to run around back there.
Yeah.
A lot of people will tell you, forget about the intermediate zones. There's not going to be a ball going 10 or 20 yards downfield. Who are we kidding? So let's play the game. So go ahead and bring some pressure in the form of a designed rush. Go ahead and have some kind of twist on involved. Be able to pressure that quarterback with more than just 2 or 3 guys.
Yeah.
Don't give the quarterback all day. Because if you give him all day, of course, he has a chance now to run around and then have some momentum into his throat.
Which he did.
Throw the ball 60 yards, he can do it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that's a little bit what Daniels did. His point, he had to let go of it maybe from the minus 40 or 45, and he couldn't quite get it into the end zone, but at least he got it close. And, of course, the tip pass went into the end zone, and it all worked out just great if you're a Washington fan. The Bears looked kind of silly.
Yeah. As a Bears fan, Don, it's hard to remember a game that went from being the one that they didn't think they were going to win because they had played so poorly on offense. Somehow they found a way to win, and then boom! Right, I remember standing right in front of the TV saying, "Are you kidding? I can't believe what I just witnessed."
To be honest with you, that's the kind of thing that somebody might get fired over. I'm talking about a coach or a player.
Yeah, it was.
If there's a player that was assigned, you are not the jumper. You are the guy to defend the deep receiver, the guy that's deeper in the end zone than the jumper, the designated jumper. It's hard to imagine there wouldn't be one guy standing back there with that one receiver.
Well,
and at the very least, it's going to be another jumping contest as the ball gets tipped toward them.
And special teams is another reason why I give Iowa an edge. I mean, Iowa's just playing really good on special teams right now. But to have Weechin, I mean, this is kind of back with Amir Smith-Marset. I mean, when you have a really good return specialist, I mean, what he does for field position and what Dakin does for field position is so huge for Iowa.
Huge weapons.
Huge weapons for Iowa. And Stevens is solid.
Let me share a comment with you guys. This is honest to God's truth. It happened last Wednesday. I was in practice on Wednesday, which I normally am. And I'm so grateful to Kirk that I'm welcome to come to practice because it gives me a chance after practice. I'm not going to tie up anybody, but as the guys are coming off the field, invariably I'll run into a few, or a few of them just stop by and say hi. And I'll have a chance to have a very brief conversation with just a handful of players. Typical visit, I'll talk to as many as maybe 4 players. That's all. Because they're done with practice, they're heading in. Sometimes they want to give me a chance to say hi, and I welcome that. But last Wednesday, I had a chance to tell Quinn Schulte. I said, Quinn, I'm sorry about Saturday night, because I know this. You have good hands, and it didn't show up when it needed to last Saturday night. But I'll make a prediction. That'll be the last drop you'll ever have as an Iowa Hawkeye. And I said, I hope they keep throwing it your way, because I think you'll possess every last one of them. And sure enough, just 3 days later, he makes a really nice play for an interception.
He did.
And I want to be clear on this. I don't want to take any credit for that interception. But I do think Quinn appreciated what I told him. He did say, he said, thanks, Coach. I appreciate you having that kind of confidence in me. And I said, well, it's the truth. You've got good hands, and you're going to demonstrate it the rest of your career. And he only waited 3 days to demonstrate it all over again, that he does, in fact, have good hands.
No, that's a cool story, and I mean, you and Kirk used to be coaches, Don. I mean, there's a lot of mutual respect. It's not like you come on here and criticize Iowa football. You talk constructively. You have a ton of respect for Kirk. And I think that's
Absolutely.
great and you enjoy football. I think Kirk knows that. And it's not like you come on here and give us any secret stuff. No, we would never expect that. I think it's great that you still go back there and watch practice. Now, I will say they did. My guess is if LeVar Woods was listening, he'd say, hey, guys, this is all great, but I don't like the fact that we gave up a return, which was kind of uncharacteristic. But overall, those special teams coming into this game Saturday could make a huge difference. Field position's big in every game, but Iowa, Wisconsin,
Wisconsin's punter was pretty good too.
He's been good too. I think Iowa has the edge at kicker though, don't they? And does Wisconsin have a return specialist like Iowa?
I don't think so.
No,
I think he might be the best in the Big Ten.
Anybody does. I mentioned I talked to several players on those Wednesdays. Another guy I talked to last Wednesday was number 21, and I simply said, I said, Caden, it's only a matter of time.
Yep.
You're going to bust one here shortly because you're returning them the right way every time. You're attacking that coverage unit. And that's especially important on kickoff returns, of course. And I said it's only a matter of time. I just don't know if you're going to bust a punt or a kickoff first. It's going to be one or the other, and it's going to happen soon. So just keep doing it the way you're doing it. And he laughed and he said, that's what I'm going to do, Coach.
Yep.
And I said, well, it's going to pay off. There's no doubt about it. And 3 days later, it happened.
And it did.
And again, I don't want to take any credit for doing anything other than giving the guys the encouragement that they've earned. They've earned that kind of encouragement.
No, you're right.
A lot of coaches have asked me through the years, give me some advice about how to be a good head coach. And I said, well, here's 2 things you got to be sure happens. One is you simply have to show confidence in your players, and I said you have to be genuine with that. You have to teach them how to play, but show great confidence in your players by how you call the game and by how you address their play of the game. Don't keep reminding them. As a simple example, if you're a deep defender, Coach I used to say, don't keep telling him whatever you do, don't get beat deep. You got to show confidence in your players. Don't scare them into playing 40 yards deep. They got to still play in the game. So, show confidence in them. Remind them you can never give up a cheap score. If the ball gets thrown in front of you, we'll react up, we'll tackle the guy, we'll go again. And, of course, if you have a chance to contest those underneath throws, then by all means do that. But don't be stupid. Your first job is to defend the deep pass. And of course, a punt returner's first job is simply to make good judgments on field and the punts. And in general, Caden does that. But he also knows how to run the daylight.
And he's fast.
Got an extra gear. And let's give a lot of credit to those blockers, as Caden always does. Mm-hmm. Guys are straining to get the blocks, and sometimes that makes all the difference.
What did you think of the 40-yard dash at halftime?
I wonder what the time was.
4:15.
4:15. That That had to be
Yes, it was. Yeah, it was. But I mean, it was fast.
But they never showed the scoreboard with the runner.
But that
on
was
top.
Kalen, not Caden. But that was Kalen Walker, who we've had on the show.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, he's a big.
Well, I can't imagine. Now, that was not AccuTrack. It couldn't be.
No, I'm
It
guessing
was
if you
not
did
415.
AccuTrack, I'm guessing it was probably somewhere in the 4.3s, 4.
I'm guessing it was a handheld.
Yeah, he's really
watch.
fast. I mean, he's ran a 10.0900. I mean, he's one of the better sprinters they've ever had. I think he won. I mean, he's good, but yeah, no, it was. I think that was part of for effect, but it was fast. I mean, he was moving.
It was fun.
Well,
It
never
was-
brings to mind one play Charlie, we called him.
Yep, I remember.
Back in the day.
Was it Charlie Jones?
Charlie Jones. There was another Charlie Jones.
Yes.
And he had one play in his football career. Of course, he was an accomplished track guy.
Mm-hmm.
And he just wanted to be some small part of the team. And he had one big touchdown pass against Indiana.
I remember it.
And it was a tight game. We won, but it was something like 42-28. And obviously that Charlie score certainly gave us a little comfort there at the end of the game that we otherwise wouldn't have had.
I do remember that. That was such a cool moment. I remember Hayden being asked about it. That was just shows you speed sometimes is hard to replace. But no, I thought that was a neat thing for Iowa to do, just as part of the whole game atmosphere and what have you. And so, Don, do you think night games, how much different are they? I mean, you didn't have many of them. I mean, Iowa played at 105 most of the time when you coached. But are night games a big adjustment to where, for a team like Iowa, how many night games will they play this year, Tom? Would it be
5?
4? I mean, is that a big adjustment, or we make too big of a deal of it?
Well, I think it's a little bit of adjustment. I used to always be concerned about the players just having to sit around all day.
Mm-hmm.
Because obviously you can't let them sleep all day. Now, you do sleep in compared to the usual wake-up time, a little bit maybe, but not much, because you don't want them the least bit groggy for the game. But there's a lot of different theories on what to do with them during the day. Some coaches are nervous about them watching any other football game on television, especially if it's next week's opponent or something like that. In that case, some coaches might even say, I don't want you watching 1 minute of the UCLA game, realizing that UCLA follows Wisconsin. Isn't that right? I think so.
Yeah, UCLA, then the break.
Yeah. So even if UCLA's on TV, I don't think there's any way our guys would be watching UCLA immediately ahead of the Wisconsin game. They wouldn't do that. They might watch some game that involves another Big Ten team that we've already played or something like that, but not to sit there for the entire time and watch it. There's nothing wrong with getting your mind away from football a little bit if you're going to have a game later that same day. I think it's probably a mistake to sit and watch 3 hours of football just because you got free time to do it.
So I know I'm going all over the place. Ohio State's at Penn State this weekend, right?
Yes, I was just going to say, what do you think about number 3 Penn State, number 4 Ohio State?
What's your feelings going in?
It's going to be interesting because right now Ohio State looks like a flawed football team.
They do.
I'm talking about flawed to be in the top 5.
Well, they're without their starting left tackle.
They're a little banged up in the old line. I don't know how many starters are missing, but at least 1, if not 2, I guess. And they, let's face it, they've been beating people more because of their ability to play finesse football than hammer football.
And they've got 2 great running backs.
They do have good backs, but even the good backs would tell you, hey, it would help if we had more substantial blocking.
Yes.
And what we're getting. So the really good backs, of course, can make the first guy miss just about all the time. But that gets a little bit old if you have to continue to make a guy miss. That should be accounted for. And, of course, let's face it, Ohio State has caused most of their damage through explosive plays, and the majority of those explosive plays have been passes, not runs.
Yeah.
Although they do have explosive backs, and, of course, they have run plays that also become explosive, just as ours do with Caleb. Incidentally, let me make one comment about Caleb, because I think it does apply a little bit. You've heard me say he reminds me of Dickerson, and that's all true.
Me too.
And other people have made that observation, too. But here's another guy he starts to remind me of a little bit more all along. He reminds me a little bit of Cedric Shaw, too. And
I can see that. I can see that.
Kind of the straight-up running.
I see that. Yeah.
Well, Cedric is not as tall as Caleb is. But you've heard me talk about how was Cedric so effective? Here's how he was effective. He was quick enough to put his foot in the ground and run away from you, to change directions and sprint and accelerate fast enough so that he could simply outrun you. But he was strong enough where he every now and then would surprise you. If you were going to squat to take him on, in other words, if you were going to not try to hit him with a lot of force, he was strong enough where he could actually run through your tackle. And Caleb can do that too. Caleb has the ability to run away from you because he's got enough speed, but he's sturdy enough and strong enough, and especially as he learns to carry his pads just a little bit lower, physical enough to run through tackles. And you also saw, how about one great run in particular? He makes a spin move, and then he follows it up with a stiff arm.
That's the one that reminded me of Cedric.
That was an amazing run.
Yeah.
And you talk about physical, Don. The Michigan State game in '95 when he got the ball 42 times for 250. A lot of those were 7, 8 tough yard runs between the tackle. And I remember we asked Hayden after the game, why'd you give Cedric the ball 42 times? And he said because he was healthy and it worked. He said it was just working.
Yeah, milk it till it's dry, right?
That's what he said. Yeah, I actually did say that. And 250 yards. I think you guys won that game 21-7. You guys basically controlled tempo the whole game through Cedric, and he was healthy.
Well, you've heard me use the expression, don't let them beat you over the head with what they're doing. The same thing applies to a good run game, of course. If you can beat them over the head with your running game, by all means, feel free to do that, because that's the most secure way to win a football game. Let me say this, too. One comment, really this applies to Caleb a little bit, and a little bit to Weegan also. I just would like to remind those guys in a friendly way. Who am I to tell them how to play football? But I just want to remind them, here's what a great running back coach named Carl Jackson would say. And I don't doubt that Liddell said the same thing to Caleb. Just a reminder, he might even call him Chief. That's what Carl would sometimes call him back. If he, instead of calling him dummy, he might call him Chief.
Chief, okay.
And I think the players knew if Coach Jackson's calling you Chief, it probably means you messed up a little bit. Carl might say, listen, Chief, just a reminder, high and tight, meaning carry the ball high and tight. You've heard that term.
Oh, yeah, no.
That means that ball needs to be clamped across your chest, and that arm needs to be over that ball and tight to your rib cage. You need to secure that ball on your front. And both those guys are a little bit lackadaisical sometimes with their ball security. Not bad, but the great backs are always secure.
No, you're right.
And I just challenge Caleb, if you want to become a great back, then be even more conscientious with carrying the ball high and tight. It's not that he doesn't have a reputation as a fumbler, of course. He protects the ball in general, but you can't protect it too well. That's the point.
No.
Protect it like it's invaluable, because it is invaluable. Let's face it, one turnover can absolutely cost you a game.
Boy, Hayden and Kirk both loved Carl Jackson. And I've never heard anyone say a bad word about him. That's funny he said the word Chief, because that's what some kid out at Best Buy, the checker out at Best Buy, called me in line the other day. He referred to me as Chief. The kid looked like he was about 18, and he kept calling me Chief, which I don't know.
Was that his way of saying you were
not holding
a little bit out with your thought process?
I think we had a disagreement on how this. It was an interesting conversation, but I won't bore you with that. But hey, God, I can't believe it's already an hour. I wanted to ask you. So do you think Penn State wins this game? Because these are the games that James Franklin has not been able to win.
Well, I'm assuming this is going to be a whiteout game. I don't know that.
I imagine.
I'm sure it will be.
Yeah, they like a whiteout crowd. It's pretty imposing. What do they seat anyway? I mean, is it over 100,000?
Oh, it's over 100.
Well, about closer to 110. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I figured it was.
Yeah. So the crowd's going to be ready to go. I think Ohio State's in a vulnerable position because they're a little less than full strength, I think, right now.
Yeah, their left tackle's out.
That tackle, I think, was he the right tackle or left tackle?
Left tackle.
I can't recall.
Yep. And the guy they put in has been struggling.
He did struggle a little bit.
Big time.
Yeah, you're right. So it'll be an interesting game, I think. And just a reminder, that offensive coordinator is a guy I know really well for Penn State, and I promise you, he's a good game planner. His name's Andy Kolonicki. He was the GA for me, but he understands the value of good game planning. And let's face it, Penn State's offense, if it needs to have a little more imagination to it, he can certainly give it to him. And he probably will.
Let's keep in mind, Drew Aller was hurt, did not play in the second half. Now, their backup guy looked real good.
And he's more elusive.
He is, but
he's not Drew Aller.
No, he's not.
But Drew Aller's been playing pretty good, but there have been a lot of games in Drew Aller's career where he hasn't delivered in games like this.
This is true.
But this new backup, he's been there with him for a while now. What's his, Kubala or something?
Yeah.
But he's very elusive.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see what happens. For some reason, it feels like Penn State may win this game. But before we wrap up, Don, I'm pretty I'm not overly confident. I see Iowa winning maybe 20-17, 23-20, some type of game like that. I think Iowa's going to be able to run the ball more than Wisconsin's going to be able to run the ball. You agree?
Yeah, I think so. I say that. The only caution I have, of course, is the Michigan State game is still right there in the back of my mind.
You're right.
Sure.
And I hope our guys understand this will be a war. I think we underestimated Michigan State's resolve a little bit. That had something to do with them being able to run the ball better than we did. And let's just be prepared for an all-out effort on the part of Wisconsin, because I think that's what we're going to get.
It's going to be a heck of a game.
Going to be fun. I wish it was a 105 or 11 or 230, but, hey, you make do with what you have and enjoy it. Thanks.
Me too. I just hope it's not raining, because you always heard me say, never mind going on the road and playing under adverse conditions, because I know the fans are a little preoccupied with just trying to stay warm and trying to stay wet, trying to stay dry, I should say, in wet conditions.
All right, well, Donnie, great stuff as usual. Hopefully we're back here Monday talking about another big win, and you have a good week, and we'll be in touch. Thanks.
I certainly like our chances. I think our crowd needs to do all they can to help, because we need all hands on deck on Saturday night.
All right,
Thank
Donnie.
you, Coach.
Take care, guys.
Yep. And this is perfect time for us to take a quick break. We'll be right back.
1-800-800-ROSE.
1-800-800-ROSE. Your FTD florist is the only number you need to know to send flowers anywhere in the country or Canada from anywhere in the country.
1-800-800-ROSE.
It's so easy. Just remember one number, 1-800-800-ROSE, your FTD florist.
1-800-800-ROSE.
Remember,
don't wait for an emergency to get a backup for your car keys. Unlike the olden days, car keys have gotten extremely complex. Mike's eKeys for Cars can generate the most technically advanced automotive keys that are on the market today. For spares and lost keys, Mike's eKeys for Cars can produce most conventional transponder, high security, and remote head keys. Mike's eKeys for Cars will keep you on the road. Call 319-330-9185 and schedule an appointment today. Don't wait until it's too late. Call 319-330-9185 today.
For a gift that your loved one will treasure for a lifetime, find it at our family-owned jewelry store in Iowa City, Hertine and Stocker Jewelers.
We can show you diamond engagement rings, colored stones, fashion jewelry, and watches.
Our jewelers are on site, so we can design jewelry for that special person in your life.
We are Hertine and Stocker, serving Iowa City and the surrounding area for 3 generations.
Hertine and Stocker Jewelers, downtown Iowa City, and HertineandStockerJewelers.com. Ask for Willa, Terry, Tim, or Kate. One of us is always there.
Hanging lights is a pain. Dealing with blown bulbs, dangerous installations, and the endless rat's nest of cords, there's gotta be a better way, and now there is. Illuma Lights permanent outdoor lighting from Big Dog Tech. Illuma Lights provides illumination for every occasion. Holiday lighting, accent lights, security, and of course, lighting for the best season, football season. The Illuma Lights app lets you create your own patterns with color, motion, brightness, and static control over every individual light, or use Big Dog's presets to transform your home or business. The professionally installed track system makes Illuma Lights LEDs virtually disappear until you turn them on. Rated at 50,000 hours, you'll enjoy stress-free convenience for years to come. No more ladders, no more hooks, no more wifey's dirty looks. That's the song you'll be singing all year long with Illuma Lights permanent outdoor lighting from Big Dog Tech. Find out more at BigDogTek.net or call 319-395-0800.
Are you tired of living in a home that doesn't quite meet your needs? Then it's time to call the experts at Streets Maintenance. Their team of skilled professionals specializes in renovations and remodeling, transforming your home into the space you've always dreamed of. From kitchen bath remodels to complete home renovations, no job is too big or too small. Streets Maintenance will work with you every step of the way to ensure your vision becomes a reality. So don't wait any longer. Call Streets Maintenance to schedule your consultation at 400-4483. Let's start building your dream home today.
There's a problem here in eastern Iowa. There's not enough Hawkeye fans. I mean, really, shouldn't everybody be a Hawkeye fan? Well, maybe not, but you should be a fan of my team at Hawkeye Title and Settlement. Hi, I'm Steve Anderson, and my team of experts at Hawkeye Title and Settlement know what they're doing. Call us at 351-8600. Hawkeye Title and Settlement, the team you love, the people you trust.
Don't let just anyone take care of your smile. At Diamond Dental, you can expect compassion, expertise, and a personalized care plan to protect your teeth for life. With more than 30 years of combined experience, Dr. Forbes and his staff are prepared to tackle even your toughest dental problems, leaving your smile healthy and sparkling. Diamond Dental offers a full range of general and cosmetic dentistry, as well as dental treatment options for snoring and sleep apnea. It's never too early to start thinking about what's best for your smile. Schedule an appointment today by calling 319-390-3703 or visiting the office at 5815 Consul Street Northeast, Suite D1 in Cedar Rapids. You can also visit DiamondDentalPC.com for more information. Dr. Forbes is a proud sponsor of the Hawkeye Wrestling Club and the Inner Circle. Let the Diamond Dental team provide superior care for your entire family.
Looking for the perfect place to host your next private party? Tavern Blue on the Coralville Strip offers your guests the ideal setting that seats up to 80 people for special events ranging from retirement parties, birthdays, University of Iowa departmental parties, dinner rehearsals, corporate events, graduations, baby showers, reunions, and fundraisers. Forget the bland, lifeless hotel ballrooms. Tavern Blue offers 4 private party packages featuring delicious foods, amazing drinks, fun entertainment, a large venue, and easy booking. For more information on your next party room, drop by Tavern Blue on the Coralville Strip or contact them on their website, tavernblue.com. Eat, drink, and play at Tavern Blue.
This is Leah Pasha, and I've been saying, hit a deer, call Premier, for years. But it's time for something new. It's still where you need to go for deer divots and door dings, as well as damaged dashboards. That's what my dad Nathan's driving at and dreams about. Why not say, when your car is dinged, be a deer and call Premier? I think Dad's going to love that. Premier Automotive, North Liberty's premier auto body repair shop.
Be a deer and call Premier Auto Body in North Liberty.
Diamond Dream Sports Academy, 20,000 square foot indoor facility, holds 8 batting cages, space for infield work, space for throwing and pitching and all your arm care needs. Offers private instruction, group lessons, camps and clinics, leagues, memberships. Rentals available at Diamond Dreams is open to the public.
Our top level instructors include former professional, college, and Olympic athletes. Our coaches will help these athletes achieve their full athletic potential, develop a strong work ethic, and a solid base to build. The last thing you want to do is look back and wish you had worked or played harder.
Locally owned and established in 2005, Diamond Dreams is Eastern Iowa's premier training facility. Located at 2905 Stoner Court, North Liberty. Call today and reserve your time. 319-665-2173. 319-665-2173.
When you go to a family restaurant, you want 3 things. 1, a wide selection of breakfast, lunch, and dinner items. 2, you want those selections to be affordable and delicious. And 3, you want to be treated like family. You get all 3 at the Midtown Family Restaurant. Breakfast items available anytime the doors are open. Legendary tenderloins, onion rings, and hot roast beef sandwiches. And special ribeye and shrimp nights. Daily specials at each location. And no matter if you're coming in solo or with a group of 20, you get the same special family treatment. The Midtown Family Restaurants at Court and Scott Streets and at the Walmart Plaza on Highway 1 West. Follow them on Facebook or at midtownfamily.com. The family's waiting for you. GT Carr, owner of Supple's Building and Remodeling, has been offering unmatched service and quality for over 25 years. The trained professionals at Supple's Building and Remodeling will install and guarantee the products used in any job, no matter how big or small. They also stand behind their work and offer no-nonsense, exceptional customer service from design to completion and beyond. Whether it's a simple window replacement or a major house addition, you'll have the confidence that Supple's Building and Remodeling is committed to quality. Visit supples.net or call them today at 319-337-2246.
When someone is kind enough to share their time with us, we better make it worth their while.
They don't want to do people call it the game, right?
Patrick Eads and Terry Adams of Deary Brothers Ford talk about what Here For You means to them.
You don't have to spend a half a day in our dealership to get that good competitive price. We just want to try to deliver that to you up front.
And that makes me feel good, makes me proud.
Because that's what people want. They want a fair, honest deal.
As far as a statement Here For You, we want to not just say it, but live it.
Find out what it means to you at Deary Ford in Iowa City.
Football fans, this is Bill Leixenring of the Oxyoke Inn. We are on your way to or from the game. We're ready to serve you with the same quality food and customer service you've come to trust for over 80 years. The Oxyoke Inn is serving our famous Sunday brunch buffet with lunch, dinner, banquets, and carry-out daily. From our Oxyoke family to yours, we can't wait to see you again soon in the heart of Amana.
The Oxyoke Inn.
From the Hertine and Stalker Studios in the heart of the Hawkeye Nation, this is the mighty 1630 KCJJ, Iowa City.
Hertine and Stalker Jewelers, making memories, making moments.
Meteorologist Brittany Merlot. Partly sunny today and breezy. With a south wind whipping up to 30 miles per hour, it's taking our high temperatures to the low 70s. And the unseasonable warmth doesn't stop there. In fact, winds become even feistier tomorrow, gusting up to 40 miles per hour, shoving us to the low 80s. All ahead of rain rolling in on Wednesday through Thursday. That's the forecast on the mighty 1630 KCJJ. Currently 53 degrees.
KCJJ weather brought to you by Plum Supply.
Plum Supply kitchens and baths. Your home never looks so beautiful.
We are back.
That's the greatest
We
forecast. That's the greatest forecast I've ever heard. Can we hear it again?
She's great.
Shoving. The words, the verb. She's got great use of verbs. You like her verbs?
Meteorologist Brittany Merlot.
Let's do it.
Partly sunny today and breezy. With a south wind whipping up to 30 miles per hour, it's taking our high temperatures to the low 70s. And the unseasonable warmth doesn't stop there. In fact, winds become even feistier tomorrow, gusting up to 40 miles per hour, shoving us to the low 80s. All ahead of rain rolling in on Wednesday through Thursday. That's the forecast on the mighty 1630 KCJJ. Currently 53 degrees.
Beautiful.
Beautiful. It can't be any better than that.
No.
And the weather ain't too bad either.
No.
80. We're almost in November. We're going to have 80.
Yeah.
And today's going to be in the 70s?
Today's 72.
It's still shorts weather.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it really is.
And then Thursday through the rest of the week, mid-50s Thursday and
by
Friday.
then I'll be bedridden since you sneezed all over me. I'm going to be out.
I drove in here this morning and started sneezing.
Petri dish over there.
He's slamming my neighborhood because I'm across from a Quick Start. What the hell is that?
I don't know.
That's convenience to me.
I was joking.
Said his tree's a better tree
Oh,
than
the
mine.
tree is here.
Yeah, it's a nice tree.
It's the nicest tree in Iowa City.
Okay.
Well,
I
maybe
got a
we should
nice
take
tree.
this call instead of worrying about Quick Start.
No,
Beautiful.
Well, I got
Absolutely beautiful.
I got one just like it.
No, I don't think you do.
Yes, I do.
I'm going to drive by. If I can get out of there alive, I'm going to.
You'll be able to have a thermometer in your butt by the end of the show.
I did joke. There was people taking photos outside my tree the other day, and I came out and said, "Hey, that's going to be $10, please." And I'm just kidding. I think the first they looked at me, is this clown for real?
Hello.
Hello.
Hey.
Aren't we lucky? Our last two November games are in the evening.
Hey, great.
I am because I'm going to be in the press
Why couldn't we
box.
have those in September?
Yeah, well, we didn't.
Because TV didn't want them to be night games in September.
It was hot for the first half for the last game, but it was nicer in the second half.
It was.
Well, anyway, what do you expect out of the women tomorrow?
Wednesday?
Wednesday.
I think we'll see a lot of players.
Did you see where the Fever coach got fired?
I did. I assume they know what they're doing. I thought she did a reasonable job.
I thought she
with the
came
team
up fairly well. From down in the
what's her name?
To where she ended up.
There's a lot of Stephanie White talk.
Yeah,
Isn't that her name?
exactly.
Stephanie White.
Yeah.
She went to Purdue, and I think a lot of people think she could coach Caitlin. Now, there's also been Bluter mentioned, but
And Stephanie White coached the Fever she did well there.
What was Bluter's answer when we had her on about coaching the Fever?
Why would I leave?
An awesome job.
Like what she had here to go to that.
She kind of didn't she sort of badmouth the job?
Very much so.
She did badmouth the job.
Well, when you're working with professionals, it's a little bit different.
I don't know why I find that funny, but I was surprised at her. Well, okay, I guess we settled that. I'm guessing it'll be Stephanie White, isn't that?
It looks like it,
but not like I have WNBA inside sources.
No.
I'm just throwing it out there.
Well, maybe they think that somebody can take the Fever to the top.
Well, that's the
I think
idea.
they probably should, because they had 2 Rookie of the Year, and Boston last year.
Yeah, but they're not ready.
Caitlin
They're not.
This year.
As great as Caitlin is, they need more help.
They have 3 really solid basketball players, much like the Iowa men have 3 solid basketball players. It isn't enough.
But they're not as good as the New York Blue.
No.
There's like 4 or 5 teams they're not as good as right now, and they need to add some players, and so we'll see what happens.
Yep. Well, okay, guys. Well, I thought our running game on Saturday ended up being pretty good.
Agreed.
Yeah, by the time the game was over.
Yeah. First quarter, not so much.
It was kind of funny because a whole mess of people after the third quarter, they left in the fourth quarter, which made it nice because you could spread out and you didn't have to try and look over people standing all the time.
Yeah, we like to stay, I enjoy watching Iowa win a comfortable win.
Well, then the bands even played afterwards, and I stayed for that.
Well, you're a glutton for punishment.
By the time I got away from there.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, you guys have a good day.
All right.
You too, Karn.
And we'll talk to you later.
Thanks, Karn.
Bye.
God, I just looked up. It's already 10:20.
Yes.
It just kind of gone fast today.
Time marches on, Pat.
Now watch, it'll come to a screeching halt.
Okay.
Next 40 minutes will be like pulling teeth.
Well, here's something kind of fun, I think.
I'll be the judge of that.
All right. Looking at the Big Ten games this week.
That sounds like a hoot.
But if you think about it, these games were set up, 6 months ago, whatever. But they're teams that should be good games. They're very well suited against each other, and see what you think. Okay. Right. Penn State, Ohio State. Should be a good game.
Yeah, it should be a good game.
Illinois, Minnesota.
Is that at Minnesota?
I think the other way.
Yeah, we'll see. Illinois got pounded at Oregon, but I think Iowa would probably get pounded at Oregon.
I think so too.
So I would think.
And Minnesota looked real good last week.
Yeah, I think Illinois is still slightly better than Minnesota.
Yeah.
But, that's very competitive.
Purdue, Northwestern.
The 2 worst teams in the conference play. Because I do think UCLA is better than both those teams.
I do too.
Because on offense. But, yeah.
But that should be a reasonable game.
Yeah. I'd watch a quarter of it if I had nothing else to do.
Okay, going into the season, Oregon, Michigan, theoretically could be.
That's at Michigan, right?
Well, the first team listed, they have Iowa listed first. Okay, so that.
Oh, so we don't. Okay, well, I guess. I think Oregon's going to win if it's in Eugene. I think convincingly. If it's in Ann Arbor, which, it's hard to do these when you don't know where they're playing.
Yeah. Indiana, Michigan State. Indiana playing awfully well.
Where is it?
Well, again, it's the first listed is Indiana, so.
Usually that means they're the team on the road. It's usually the team at the team, but this could be different.
But Iowa is listed first, so.
So we're basically trying to pick games where we don't know where they're being played.
Well, usually they're not haphazard, right?
Yeah, I guess. I don't know.
I mean, do we know that Iowa
I'm used to the home team being listed second. So-and-so at so-and-so.
I am too, but they don't.
Maybe this isn't. But I mean, if that game's in Bloomington, I think Indiana will win convincingly. If it's in East Lansing, I give Michigan State a chance.
This is NCAA.com. So, yeah, they don't do at. They should. And then Nebraska, UCLA. Nebraska is certainly playing much better than UCLA.
Again,
is.
I got to ask, where is it?
Yeah.
If it's in L.A., I give them a chance. I mean, I'm not going to have time to look up all these other Big Ten schedules, and I don't know them by memory.
And then Washington, Southern California should be a pretty good game.
Yeah, and that's another one, I think, home field advantage.
I don't know why they don't do at.
If that's in L.A., I think USC wins. If that's in Seattle, I think Washington wins.
Hello.
Hey, guys, it's Greg calling from outside Chicago. Got a quick question for you. Are you surprised they haven't really done much to try to get Weegan involved in the offense this year? It just seems like with lack of playmakers, he really has not got much playing time a wide receiver at all.
Yeah, I'm guessing it may be a hands issue. I don't know for sure, but that would probably. But then you ask, well, if he doesn't have great hands, why is he return punts? I mean, I don't know. There's got to be I don't think it's that there's other guys that he's clearly better than the other guys and not playing. There has to be. I mean, he does get out there on the field.
Yeah,
they just don't throw to him.
Well, it seems even like a decoy. I mean, when he's in, I feel like the last few games, or when he does get the ball, it's like if he comes in, he's getting the ball. It's just.
I mean, they try to use him, but we're talking about a team that doesn't have a wide receiver with 200 receiving yards yet, and we're 8 games in the season.
Yeah, I know. That's hard. It's definitely the offense definitely looks better, but it's still got a ways to go out for.
Well, the running side looks way better. The passing to me doesn't really look. The passing to me doesn't really look much different than it did last season or the previous season, at least so far.
Yeah, and maybe you mentioned this. It's just hard to believe how far he's come. I last year against Northwestern, I don't believe Caleb Johnson got on the field.
Well, remember he was hurt for a lot of last season too. I think any game where he didn't play last season, he was not healthy.
All right, guys, thanks.
All right, you bet, Greg.
All right, I got a ESPN. Okay, OSU is at PSU. Minnesota is at Illinois.
See, I think Illinois wins that game there.
Let's see.
I mean, I didn't
UCLA is at Nebraska.
Yeah, don't you think Nebraska wins? Yeah, Nebraska will win that.
Yeah.
Nebraska's defense looked pretty good against Ohio State.
So, yeah, I mean, the first team listed is the home team. I don't know why they do it.
It's a weird way to do it.
I don't know why they do that.
Especially if they don't give you, like, a indication that's how they do it. But, yeah, home field. And basically what we're seeing, Tom, is this conference has a ton of parity. This conference has a ton of average to slightly above and slightly below average teams. You can just lump them all together. I think Purdue and Northwestern are the two worst. I think they've sort of separated from the pack the wrong way. I think Oregon, Ohio State, and Penn State and Indiana, those four. I'm dropping Illinois in with and then everybody else is together. Illinois, when they were 5-1, I gave them that benefit of the doubt, but now they weren't even competitive out at Oregon. I think I lumped them in with Wisconsin, Iowa, Minnesota, Michigan State, Nebraska, all those teams, other than Purdue.
Rutgers and Maryland, I think, are drifting to the bottom.
Rutgers and Maryland, I would put them at the very bottom because, in fairness, they both are still 4-4. But before the year's over, they will be in the bottom four with
I think
with Northwestern and Northwestern. Who's yet UCLA? I'm not sure of yet. I mean, it's going to be interesting to see. I mean, UCLA is
what they do against teams like Iowa.
Yeah, I mean that will be an interesting game. Iowa's got a long road trip. Kirk doesn't like going out west. His teams don't play well out west. But this is not UCLA's defense is not very good. So
no, they're not. So. I'm looking forward to Saturday's game. Are
you overly confident?
No, I'm never overly confident against Wisconsin. I think we're...
And that makes sense, but this is not a very good Wisconsin. It's an okay Wisconsin.
They're better.
They're playing better, but they still don't have that Bill Cow running back that they can ride. And their offensive line is very suspect, in my opinion.
No, they don't. And I feel...
And their quarterback's a backup for a reason.
And I kept saying while I was watching that game to their running back, the TV was pushing him up, saying how great he was. And, that he is no Melvin Gordon.
No, he's no Caleb Johnson.
No.
I don't think he's even Sean Williams.
No, he isn't.
Hello.
Did
Did you guys watch the 49ers and Cowboys last night?
Parts, not off and on.
Kittle got his 500th reception as a 49er.
I did see that.
Cool.
And Purdy was the leading rusher for both teams for most of the game.
Really?
Purdy was?
Purdy.
Wow.
Brock Purdy.
Brock Purdy. Yeah.
Yes, I know who Brock Purdy is.
But anyway, so how hard would it be for us to get a quarterback like Brock Purdy?
Well, evidently impossible.
And what's funny is he couldn't beat Iowa.
No, never.
Never even played well against Iowa.
Yeah, I don't know. Must have been people around him. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks.
And then the big controversy from that game is the Bosa kid. Purdy was being interviewed afterwards, and the Bosa guy came up, and he had his MAGA hat on. Then they asked him about him in the post game, and he goes, well, I'm not going to really talk about it. He goes, all I can say is these are really important times. That was his comment. So it became political.
Yeah.
And it was funny, though. He wore a white MAGA hat with really light gold.
Who was this?
Bosa from Ohio State. They're huge Trumpers, which is their, that's their right. But he wore a MAGA hat, but you could barely read the M and the A, the Make America Great, because of the lettering. It was like two really light colors on top of each other, so it didn't stand out. It's just a weird color combination, I thought. But yeah, and Kittle was standing right there waiting to be interviewed, too, when it happened. He just came in there, put his hat, then walked away. But what's ironic is, I don't know. I mean, this next week's going to be crazy. Next 8 days.
Yeah, it will be.
Have you voted yet?
Yes.
I was going to do it yesterday. I may do it today. But, there's part of me that kind of likes the thrill of voting on Election Day, too. But we'll see. I may do it today. If I drive by that building and there's no line or anything, it's so easy to park and just walk into that administration building and vote.
I just hate to wait in line ever.
On Election
for
Day?
Anything.
Yeah,
for
I don't.
anything.
Yeah. Oh, I don't either. Jaws is the only thing I've ever waited in line. And the roller coaster.
I went to get, Jan wanted some
quarter pounders?
Salmon sandwich. No, I ain't getting those.
Will you ever eat a quarter pounder ever again?
Yeah, I will, but
will you, Suter?
I'll wait to see if people are dropping around.
So, but they had an update on it. Did they find the cause? Was it the
it's
onions?
The onions, yeah.
I love onions.
Well, then I'm good.
Well, you're good for now. You'll find better onions.
Well, I won't eat any onions at McDonald's.
I had onions on my Subway yesterday. And I said, these aren't from the same place McDonald's gets them. They laughed.
I went to go to Brugger's yesterday.
Good luck with that on a Sunday?
I made a mistake, 1:45.
Oh.
And I couldn't. No. The line was out on Riverside.
Which one did you go? Which one did you go
move.
to? Oh, the river.
Well, yeah, ever go to the Riverside one.
Well, don't ever go to either one on Saturday or Sunday before noon.
Isn't the one in Coralville closed?
It is right now for remodeling, but that's the one I went to, and I counted. There were 43 people waiting in line at that Brugger's.
Well, I was out by, at least McDonald's, and it never moved, and I finally just got out of line and said,
you can't do it at a home game.
It's insanity on Saturdays and Sundays.
Yeah.
I mean, they're just...
Well, that parking lot's no good.
No.
If it's an away game, you probably okay.
Well, I mean, pretty much any time I've tried to go to Brugger's on a Saturday between like 8 and 11 or Sunday, it's just packed.
Well, the one on Riverside, I will never go to.
It's got no parking.
The one on...
I prefer the one way up, but I don't want to drive way out to Coralville.
But the one downtown is if it's not a home game, it's at least doable.
I've been to that one before.
Yeah. Well, you can't drive through.
That's the one I went to years ago, and a guy was making my sandwich, and he had a big cut on his hand, and he had it wrapped, and there's blood all over it. I'm like, dude, there's something wrong here.
Dude, get off the front.
And the manager came
line.
out, and I remember she said, when did this? She's like, no. And I'm like, hey, I'm good. And that was not a good experience. Would you have said something?
Yeah,
it was like mid-90s.
I'm not taking that.
Probably not. I probably wouldn't have said anything.
I would have said something. He's got blood all over himself.
It was just, it
is Halloween, though.
It was jarring. I mean, that was mid-90s. AIDS was still, you know what I mean? There was still much uncertainty. I just, I can't eat. I couldn't eat there. It looked like he'd cut himself with a knife or something, and he had, but there was still, it's not good. Yeah, it did look like kind of a Halloween, something you put out in the front yard. A hand.
Ew.
But you would have said, "Hey, that's fine. Why don't you throw a little extra mayo on there?
How's that hand, dude?
Why don't you throw some extra mayo on there?"
You gonna hand out candy, Scooter?
Yeah, we always do.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't I?
I know.
What do you think we're turning against the kids?
Do you have a lot of kids in your neighborhood?
Oh, my God, like 20-some.
Yeah.
We have some in ours.
And that's just on our cul-de-sac.
Well, actually, no, now that I think about it, we've got a few. I normally don't.
I'm going to go get candy.
I got out of the habit with my dogs because they barked every time the doors. It was just so annoying.
It is a problem.
It's just so annoying.
It
I'd be like,
is
guys,
a problem.
it's the same thing why you just barked 2 seconds ago, and they never, every time the door, they just go nuts.
It protected you.
Yeah, and then the kids would come to the door, and I'd open it, I'd have the candy, and both of my dogs would be right there trying to, just having to be petted or just, it was all about them.
It's Thursday night, right?
Yes.
Hunter brought in candy this morning, and I said, hey, unwrap some of that.
For Harty?
Yeah.
Make sure you rub them on your armpits before you display them. Is that what you said?
Get your fingerprints in the chocolate.
I had a little Snickers, and it was fabulous.
Snickers is good.
Oh, I love Snickers.
Usually not a sweets person in the morning, more at night.
Yeah.
I thought you didn't like sweets.
I don't crave them, but it's right there, and I love Snickers.
I don't mind Snickers. I like frozen Snickers better, but they ain't good for the teeth.
No,
but they're good.
They are good. Yeah. Especially you let them thaw out a little bit. But
Dr. Forbes says
he wants
freeze them.
Frozen Snickers and corn nuts are what he recommends. And taffy.
And popcorn
kernels.
Well,
for people that have just had implants, he emphasizes taffy.
Yeah, taffy is...
Test them, because we can always give you new ones.
How about Bit-O Honey? Those are right up there.
Hello.
Hey, good morning, gentlemen. This is John Ballmer.
Hey, John, how are you?
I haven't been able to listen to your show, but I thought I'd better call in about the World Series, and the Yankees are taking it on the chin so far. I don't have a good feeling about this one because that first game brought back memories of
Kirk Gibson?
1988. Kirk Gibson. I watched him hobble around the bases back then, against the heavily favored Oakland Athletics, and they ended up winning that series.
Yes,
remember who he played for in college?
Michigan State.
Michigan State.
Yeah, that's right.
Really good wide receiver.
Well, I hate to tell you this, John, but Rex just called you a big loser.
Oh, I've already conceded to him. I just said that's it. I said whatever he decides he wants for, we haven't had a formal bet, but I said you get whatever you want. I'll just, if it's lunch or whatever, something not too expensive, obviously. But,
it could come around.
I don't think so. I'm not a big fan of our manager, and I think he's kind of an X factor here.
What am I not aware of?
What's that?
What are you guys talking about?
Well, they did a show last week. Rex is big Dodger fan.
Oh, okay.
And John's a Yankee fan.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, we were the warm up for Rex's senior shows. So,
okay.
Yeah, we had a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was good.
Yeah. Rex and I are good friends, and we go back. We're high school classmates. So
okay.
But I always wave in front of him. We've got 27 world championships, Rex. So
how many do the Dodgers have? I don't even know.
I think they're right behind St. Louis. I think St. Louis has 11. I think the Dodgers are right behind. St. Louis has got the second most.
I did see Ohtani's going to play. It's amazing. He separates part of his shoulder, and now he's going to play 4 days later, or whatever it is. Incredible.
Yeah. Well, he isn't the one that's done the damage.
No.
The other guys, Freddie Freeman and the other players.
Yeah.
And Freeman's reminds me of Gibson, the way he's hitting the ball and then hobbling around the bases. So, yeah, it's the omen isn't very, very good. The Yankees, they basically need to sweep at Yankee Stadium, I think, just to even have a chance. So
that would make sense. Yep.
We'll see, but I think this is a series that most everybody wanted to see as far as the media.
Oh, sure, yeah. Me as a Cubs fan, I don't care, but no, this is what I'll tell you, it's what Major League Baseball wanted.
Oh, sure, yeah. Well, there was a big article in the Wall Street Journal about this. This Jason Gay, who's a pretty good sports reporter. He just, that was is this going to save baseball? Because baseball, popularity-wise, is as far as a viewing sport, is not obviously as popular as football and even basketball anymore.
Yeah, because it's just not as fun to watch.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that they now have a pitch clock or a clock on the pitcher, I think helps immensely because it speeds the game up. Because before it was just so slow.
I don't like the runner on second base. And is that the 10th inning?
Yes, and they haven't done that in the playoffs, which is good.
They're not doing that. Okay, good. Yeah, I don't like that. That's just not baseball.
I don't either, Pat. I think
reminds me of
baseball,
T-ball,
for God's sake. So yeah, but anyway, we'll see what happens tonight, gentlemen.
All right.
We'll as a Yankee fan, we will hope for the best.
I think the Yankees win tonight. Who pitches for the Yankees?
Clark Schmidt.
Okay.
Kind of reminds you of Clark Kent,
Okay.
And Whitey Ford's going Game 4, right?
Yeah. We're going to do with him like they did with Ted Williams, embalming. Yeah, we need Whitey, that's for sure.
They could use him.
Yeah. All right, gentlemen.
All right, John.
Thanks, Johnny.
Okay. Yeah, bye-bye.
Yep.
Did I see? I was watching last night, and all of a sudden CNN broke with a story of some guy named Bad Bunny.
Yeah, Bad Bunny.
I knew there was. Like I said, I knew there was a Bugs Bunny, and I knew there was an Eastwood Bunny, but I did not know there was a Bad Bunny until last night. What is Bad?
With the kids.
What is Bad Bunny?
Oh, he is a huge
star.
Yeah.
Okay, what does he do? Sing or dance or both, or is he pop music?
Yeah, he's
both.
More of a rapper, I would say.
Yeah,
I've never heard. Have you guys play him?
But he's musical. No, we haven't
yet.
But he's trying to cross over into top 40.
But I'd never heard of Bad Bunny.
He's Puerto Rican.
But he's from Puerto Rico, and he's
huge.
I think it is funny.
He's got
though.
45
Well, I know. I
million
think it's funny.
Followers.
And then people are like, okay, like that's going to get him Kamala like 45 million votes or something.
It's huge.
Everybody's so reactionary right now. It's just crazy the way things are right now.
Hello.
Bad Bunny.
Bad Bunny.
Is he bad?
No.
Why couldn't he be Good Bunny? Wouldn't you feel better if he was Good Bunny?
No, he sounds like a pussy then.
If he's Good Bunny?
Yeah. You can't rap and sound like a pussy.
So you got to be mean and tough to rap. Is that what you're saying?
Shoot at each other.
All right.
Hello.
Back to the Hawks, but before we do that, I just want to say this is the first time I ever voted for a Democratic president.
Yeah.
Wow.
And now back to the Hawks.
Well, bless you.
He makes a political statement, then on to the Hawks.
Bless you.
All right.
Pat, have you heard anything about the Iowa softball team's transfer portal? Are they getting in a lot of good players? Or
I have to admit, I haven't researched it.
either.
I'm sorry. I have not heard anything, but that doesn't mean stuff's not. I mean, I didn't know when I went to cover Media Day last year that they had lost their two best. Remember, we had, what's her name, Nia Carter?
Yeah.
We had her on, and she still hadn't decided fully if she was going to come back or pursue pros, or she ended up going. Didn't she go to like a school down south?
She did.
And then so did the girl from what was the pitcher? I have not. Why? Have you heard something?
no, I get updates. I see a lot of updates on like Alabama and Oklahoma, but I never hear anything about the Hawkeyes.
Well, my guess is because they probably haven't. Last year you didn't hear about them because they lost their two best players as opposed to gaining, and obviously you're not going to promote losing two of your best players.
No.
You know what I'm saying? I didn't know about that because I just don't cover softball off the season recruiting that closely because I just don't have the time. But had they added two big jewels, I'm sure it would have been all over social media. But when you lose, you don't want to promote bad stuff. At least that's my theory.
Right. And one last thing, I watch a lot of SEC softball when they come on. I know Iowa softball complex is nice, but as far as seeding, holy cow, those softball fields down south, they seed a heck of a lot.
It's the same way with baseball.
Yeah.
Both are at a disadvantage in that regard. I will say I think the softball facility overall is a little better than baseball right now.
I would say
better
so.
Parking.
Yeah.
And everything. So, but they're working on baseball right now. They're not working on the things that I think really need to be done, like the seating and the press box.
Because those are the things that are going to take money.
That's what. Yeah, and they lost their money. We know about that.
Yeah.
So, but no, I have not heard any shot. I mean, it's hard enough to keep up with all the other stuff, let alone softball transfer portal. But I don't want to sound harsh, but Iowa didn't have a good year last year.
No.
And the more you struggle, you want to go to the portal, but it's harder to get really, 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 really good players if you're not offering them the chance to win right away. And I think that.
And baseball was disappointing last year too.
Yeah, and volleyball has landed some players. I saw they got beat by Illinois 3-1. What are they? 3? Still, just to win 3 is progress for Iowa volleyball. You'd like to see them squeeze out a couple more conference wins and what have you, but yeah, no, the transfer portal. I mean, I was asked yesterday by someone. Let's say Sullivan just, he plays and he's okay. I mean, Do you think they need to go to the? Do you think they just need to? We're good with Brendan. That he is our guy, and whatever we have behind him, we'll make do. Or do you think they need to try to go to the portal and get someone?
Well, I mean, do we think that the person coming in is even a possibility to help out in any way? Is it Jimmy Sullivan?
I don't think. I don't. Even Drew Tate didn't play as a true freshman.
Yeah.
No, I would never count on a true freshman playing.
Well, then, we don't know what Marco's going to do. If he stays around, is he doable to play some?
I don't
as
know.
a backup?
I've had some people tell me that they've heard Stratton's moved ahead of him. Have you seen that on message boards or
I
anything?
haven't seen that, but if that's true, yeah.
I mean, not everyone's going to stick around, but I'm guessing they'll add someone from the.
Well, and if they do, I hope they do. And if Brendan Sullivan, plays like he did yesterday or Saturday, then I'll feel pretty good about him.
I was okay with how he played. I wasn't overwhelmed. I thought he was okay as a passer. I wasn't that impressed.
No, but he was an improvement.
But for
sure,
he was an improvement as a runner. But what happens when a defense stops him from running?
Well, then. Then we're in trouble.
Because defenses, you can stop a quarterback from running.
Yes, you can.
And like I said, with some of the throws, there was one where Gill should have caught it over the middle.
Yeah.
But it was thrown too hard.
It was thrown too hard and a little bit high.
But he should have caught it.
Yeah.
But it was just thrown too damn hard. Just take something off it. But I think you saw some moments as a thrower why they didn't just go to Brendan Sullivan like 4 games ago.
For sure.
I think there's a lot of refinery that needs to happen with him as a thrower. And it'll be interesting to see. Maybe Kirk will go. He didn't rule out playing 2 quarterbacks when he was asked about it after. It was the last question asked him. He brought up 1981, Gordy Bohannon and Pete Gales. They made it to the Rose Bowl that year, but they made it to the Rose Bowl that year in spite of the offense.
Yeah,
the offense was not very good at all.
No, it wasn't.
They had Reggie Roby and a defense. This year they have Reese Dakin and an okay defense. Well,
was
they're not
that the 28-0 Washington
Jock
debacle?
Robinson, the most boring Rose Bowls I remember.
It was
the
awful.
Parade was better than that game. And remember, we had all waited because it had been 20-some years since they had been in a bowl game. Wasn't the last game 59 Rose Bowl?
Yeah.
It had been 22 years.
Yeah.
I was 5 years from being born. The last time they had been in a bowl game, and it just was I remember sitting there with my family watching it and just wanting the parade to get over. And the game was horrible.
It sure was.
I don't know if I even made it all the way through because it became so evident about midway through the second quarter. I remember saying to Dad, I don't think we're going to score.
We were over at my brother John's house, and it was huge party.
Oh yeah, and you were what?
Big spread.
I was still in junior high school. What you were?
I was 29.
Yeah, you were. You were Freebird.
Oh yeah, that's 29 years old. I was.
So did it just deflate you?
I didn't expect us to win, but I did expect us to be more competitive.
Did you expect them to score?
I was hoping.
Yeah, it was just. No, Hayden's. Unfortunately, his Rose Bowl experiences were not. Well,
they weren't good.
They weren't good.
Well, we have
Kirk's was a nightmare.
But
Jesus, God,
that was fun.
Horrible.
That's the one you spent a ton of money on, right?
Yeah.
And that always, for some reason, it makes us happier, because we're living our life through him. He goes to places we can't afford. I was there being paid at least.
Oh my God, no! It
was over in a minute and a half.
Because I remember you came back and you got on your. I paid $5 for nothing. I remember you. That was one of the first things you said.
And we stayed in a crappy hotel that I didn't like, and then there just wasn't that much to do.
It was great for me because I had a great hotel experience, great food. The thing with LA though is I know anything you wanted to do was like a
50 miles away.
50-mile drive.
Yeah.
Hello.
Hey, you guys got talking about the 82 Rose Bowl and with Washington. I just had to call in. I was a junior in college, and even though that game sucked, it was terrible.
Yes.
Just the best experience. Going out there with the guys from the dorm, we drove out there. You were constantly seeing people passing you on the interstate that you knew, you didn't even know where going, and they're passing you on the interstate because half of Iowa City and half of Iowa was out there.
That would have been fun.
That's cool.
Man, what a great college experience. And the Hawks went to the Final Four when I was a freshman.
Yeah.
The wrestlers were national champions. The Hawks were going to the Rose Bowl. From that perspective, man, it was so great being in college. And my freshman year was 79 when Fry was, it was his first year. So watching that progression, it was just man, what great times.
Yeah, no, those were good
absolutely.
times. No, they were good times.
It was a very good time for Iowa athletics.
Yeah, it was great. It was great. And the stories, we still get together and, we rehash all the stories that happen on a 10-day road trip to Southern California when you're 20 years old. I mean, what could be better?
Oh, my God, that would have been fantastic.
Vegas, it was just crazy.
That would have been fun.
Would have been fantastic. That sounds like a great trip. And
I bet you guys at that age were having sex.
We went to not New Year's Eve, but the night before we went to the party at the Century Plaza.
Yeah.
And we parked like 2 miles away, and we were walking over, and somebody's walking the other way, like, oh, they're sold out of liquor. They're sold out of liquor because they had like 20,000 people show up at that.
Yeah.
So we stopped at a liquor store and bought some 6-packs and walked in like, well, we're never going to get in the door with this, But we walked right in. Nobody blinked an eye. And we're standing there, and like this old guy came up. He's like, I'll give you $100 for that 6-pack of beer.
Did you sell it?
Which was like somebody offering you $500 today, and we're like, nope, sorry, we're drinking it.
Yeah, well, I understand.
It was great. Anyway,
well, that's great.
Show.
Well, thanks for sharing.
To talk about the old times.
And those are great memories. Good for you.
And they were having sex.
Oh, yeah.
Well, yeah. But you're not having sex at 20.
Maybe not on that trip.
Well, not maybe on that trip. But
well, no, but if you're not having it at that age, and you got issues.
Yeah.
Life may only get harder. No pun intended. Back to the Hawks.
Back to the Hawks. So yeah, I mean, overall, had to be happy about the Hawkeye effort, especially the third quarter. My God, what a quarter!
Well, that was, and I think
unbelievable.
I think Reese Dakin took so much out of Northwestern in that second quarter.
He sure did.
They were just fried by then.
Yeah,
and I think it just wore on them, and he has been incredible. I mean, he had a couple questionable punts early. He had one against Iowa State that wasn't great, but for the most part, he's been very solid.
He has been terrific, tremendous weapon.
Stat-wise, not much different from Torrey.
Not much.
And boy, Torrey yesterday was incredible for the Bears. Oh, he was incredible. I mean, he does 50-yarders like they're layups.
Yeah.
It's just he makes them look routine now.
But so it sounds like the Bears blew it.
Oh, it was a gut punch, man.
Who were they playing?
I went from being so thrilled about winning a game that I thought they had no chance of winning because they were so good in the fourth quarter to getting beat on a Hail Mary. They happen every once in a while.
Who were they playing?
The Commanders, the former Washington Redskins, who have a rookie quarterback who outplayed Caleb, but Caleb was great in the fourth quarter.
Played the Redskins, Steve. I wonder if only.
But now they're the Commanders.
Yeah.
What do you think of that change?
I think it's kind of weak.
No, I don't.
Yeah,
like it.
But if that's what people want to do,
I understand.
Well, I'm not saying they should have changed from the Redskins, but I just thought the Commanders were kind of weak.
Lame.
Yeah,
it is lame.
Yeah.
Well, they've already got someone's the Generals out there. You got the Wizards. What would you guys have recommended? You got the Capitals. Isn't that the hockey team, the Capitals?
Yeah.
How about the Washington Wooden Teeth?
It's awfully long.
Yeah. Too long?
Yeah, it's too long. You thinking George Washington?
Yeah.
Never told a lie.
Sure.
You believe that?
No, everybody lies.
Washington Truth Tellers, then.
It's awfully long, too.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
The Washington Wackos. No, it was just excruciating loss, though, for the Bears. I mean, but like Don said, they needed to have a guy deeper than their guy, and they didn't. They just had a fundamental breakdown, and 9 out of 10 times those plays don't work. This one worked. It worked to perfection.
Well, they do them often enough where you got to try them.
And the throw was to the point where the Bears jumped to try to knock it down, but it's like all their D-backs that were back there and receivers, whoever, they hit their vertical peak, and the ball was still they couldn't get above the ball.
It was
just,
higher. Yeah.
It was just perfectly thrown ball. That was not. It got, like Don said, it did get to about the 1 or 2 yard line, and then it just bounced back right into.
Who's Washington's QB?
I was just Jaden Daniels, the former LSU Heisman Trophy. He's really good. He outplayed Caleb. Now Caleb outplayed him in the fourth quarter, but Caleb the Bears had 33 yards passing going into the fourth quarter. He ended up with he had 100 in the fourth quarter alone. It was really good, but they just were playing catch up the whole game. But rarely do I, even a Bears game, do I watch from start to finish. That game I pretty much watched from start to finish, and I was going to tweet something that I didn't because I'm like, no, I'm not going to make fun. But watching that first half of the Bears game was like watching Iowa football. back, when they're really struggling.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the running game has saved the offense this year because, like I said,
It
I don't
has.
think the passing offense has really gotten much better at all. Do you?
Just marginally.
Yeah,
and
I
mean marginally.
And I'm not even willing to go that far.
Well,
I just don't see much.
Yardage-wise, there's a slight difference.
Not much. I mean,
No.
they're averaging 100. Cade's
A slight difference.
Cade's averaging like 130 yards passing a game. I think Deacon averaged like 120.
No, it's like that kind of like
but no,
100 yards
the
difference.
passing offense still is so dysfunctional right now.
I don't disagree.
And it's a combination of things. I think the pass blocking is getting better. I don't think. I think Cade's inability to even maneuver in the. There's lots of times where Cade just sits there waiting for something to develop. Then at the last second, he'll try to make a little move out of there. But the moment he starts having to improvise, the play is usually over.
That's right.
Whereas Sullivan, at the worst, he's going to just run. And he may someday regret that because the way he played Saturday, he does that over the course of 4 or 5 games. He's going to get hit so many times. I just hope his body can take it.
I hope so too.
But at some point he's going to have to throw into some tight windows in the pocket for them to reach their full potential. We'll see. And I'm with Don. He needs to take some velocity off the ball. He needs to throw with a little more touch.
There were 2 instances at least.
And the
where
guys
he
were
just
open.
threw
Jacob
too
Gill
hard.
was open on that,
Yep.
but I just think the ball got there way quicker
Yep.
than it reminded me of Petrus.
Yeah.
And Deacon Hill, for
And
that matter.
Deacon,
Deacon
yeah.
did a lot of that. I just don't throw it so hard.
Yep.
That's what it reminded me of. So.
And Deacon never
adjusted. He never really did adjust. So, but no, like I said, I think Brendan starts Saturday, and we'll have Wednesday and Friday to talk about it. But
So how do you think he'll do?
I think he'll do okay. I don't think he'll come out and throw for 300 yards because I just don't think he or the offense right now is built that way. I think he'll help the running attack. If he could throw for between 120 and 150 and run for 50, great. Get almost 200 yards total offense. Account for maybe 1 or 2 touchdowns. Then I'm sold on.
Fabulous.
I'm sold on sticking with him because I do think they're going to be able to run the ball. I just don't think Wisconsin's going to be able to shut him down for the whole game. I mean, we'll see.
Well, if they do, we're in trouble.
Yeah, if they do, I don't think Wisconsin's going to come in here and score a lot of points. I'll be surprised if they score more than 25 points.
Me too.
I will be very surprised, and I'll be a little surprised if they score more than 20 because I just don't have a lot of faith in their offense.
I agree. All right. Well, thanks to Donnie Patterson for joining us as always. It's always a
Good
pleasure
stuff
to
as
talk
usual.
to Don. And
I don't know who our UI athlete will be on Wednesday. I'll keep you guys abreast
All
of
right.
that. And everybody. So we got nice weather the rest of this week, basically.
Until Saturday.
No. We've got showers and thunderstorms.
Well, when I say, but we're still no dipping
Wednesday
into the
night.
40s or anything.
No.
During the day. We've got warm weather is what I'm saying.
Yeah, well, 50s. Okay, 50s.
That's 50s in almost November. That's fine with me.
Until Saturday.
Well, the highs on Saturday are 50s.
No,
Upper
not according
50s.
to Bug. 44 is.
Well, that's for Saturday night.
Yeah,
yes.
Okay.
Well, we're playing Saturday.
What's
night.
the high on?
Well, I know that, but I'm saying
What's the high on Saturday during the day?
upper 50s.
Okay, yeah, no.
44, and then a chance of.
But then today, those in the
a major
70s.
earthquake.
Did I hear what's her name? Whitney or Britley or what's her name? Britley. Didn't she say 80s? Brittany, did she say 80s?
She's on. On Wednesday.
And what'd she say was feisty?
The
Winds. Winds are feisty up to 30.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I would say
That's
feisty
fair.
is a good.
It's a fair statement.
It is.
It's people complaining about her.
You
Why
know,
would you
F
complain
them.
about the greatest weathercast ever?
Well, it's not our people that are complaining.
Who's
about
complaining
it.
about her?
Yeah, the people in Wisconsin,
What don't they
Minnesota.
What don't they like about her?
Her terms, feisty.
That's what I like. It's
Me
separate.
too. I like it. She uses the language.
Yeah,
It distinguishes her.
Yeah. Yeah, they don't want her to be distinguished.
They just want her to blend in, just another cookie cutter.
Go along, get along.
They want their weather people to be cookie cutters.
Yeah.
And we're not standing for that here.
No.
No cookie cutters here.
No.
We don't care. Really?
All right.
I mean, feisty is a great way to describe
Yeah,
men.
she can do whatever
And
she
she
wants
also
to
said
do.
something was shoving.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's why I call her Edgar Allan Merlot.
She was shoving something.
Now, boys.
All right, I think we're gonna end on that one. Everybody have a good day.
Yeah, have a great day. Hawkfanatic.com. Check it out. It's free. Molly Suter is next.